Hey, I'm Jeff Reber with ERA Heavener Realty, here today to talk about how to win at your next repair agreement when you're either buying or selling real estate. I realize that 99% of you that are watching this video or reading this email are not in the middle of a real estate transaction. So bookmark the video, put a mental note somewhere. Feel free to call, text, email me down the road to bring this back up, because this is something that can save you thousands of dollars or even keep a deal together if you know what you're doing when it comes to negotiating a repair agreement. Number one reason that real estate deals fall apart is financing, and a close second is when a home inspection happens, it freaks a buyer out, or they can't come together with the seller on the negotiated items that are going to be done. So I wanted to take a minute just to give you 3 tips on how I think about making a success or making a win out of negotiating a repair agreement. So the first of which is take your emotion out of it. I see this all the time. Inevitably, the seller has an opinion of the condition of the property that is different than the buyer's opinion of the condition of the property. And I buy, fix, and sell houses as well, so I catch this in myself where somebody will ask, if I'm selling, a buyer will ask me to do a particular item, and my first thought is, there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. I lived with that issue through the process of buying and fixing this house, and so on and so forth. Tip number 2 is get everything in writing. Our Northeast Florida Association of Realtors purchase agreement states that all work will be performed by appropriately licensed person or appropriately licensed persons. And so this is something that comes up often where a buyer will make a request, the seller agrees, and then maybe unbeknownst to the real estate agent, the seller does the work themselves. Well, in all likelihood, that seller is not a licensed contractor, so it begs the question of, were they appropriately licensed to accomplish that repair? So I always, up front, try and properly communicate, seller and buyer, hey, what do you want done? Who's going to do it? Let's put all of that in writing to make sure that we're all on the same page so that there's no surprises whenever the work is done. And whenever we get close to closing, you don't want to have blow-ups at the last second. So be sure to put everything in writing. And then the last thing is, don't do any work at all. Even if there are items that both buyer and seller agree should be addressed, get it to a credit. You can give that in the form of a closing cost credit. And if there's a lender involved, you can't give a repair credit, so to speak. Everything comes in the form of a closing cost credit to the buyer. The second thing you could do is just adjust the purchase price. If you're already giving closing cost credit, or you're at a point in the deal where it's not easy to give closing cost credit, just adjust the purchase price and everybody's happy that way. Seller doesn't have to do any repairs, buyer's compensated for the things that needed to be done. Great. The other thing that you could do in that regard is do what's called an escrow holdback. And this can be a little bit detail oriented, especially with the title company and the lender and the contractor that's going to do the work, because in an escrow holdback, you're actually setting aside money at closing from the seller. It's held by the title company, and then after closing goes to the contractor that does the work. So a little bit more complicated, but something you can do to keep from having to debate over whether or not the sink was fixed right or the HVAC was done properly. So those are my 3 tips, and that's kind of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to negotiating a repair agreement, but that will certainly get you through. And if you happen to be in the middle of one, or have an upcoming deal that you have questions about, by all means, feel free to give me a shout, 904-405-1995. You can send me an email, jeff@era.com. Hope you have a great day, and I'll look forward to hearing from you.